Sometime during the third consecutive night, spent huddled over the toilet, besides heaving and shuddering as I vomit forth seemingly everything I've ever eaten, I realized what was happening. He's trying to poison me. It's all so elegant, so perfect, and so clear that I almost laughed, but another barrage of retching forces me to silence. The next morning, I threw everything in the kitchen away, wrapping up 3 times in plastic bag to burying it deep in the apartment communal trash cans to prevent any unfortunate transit from crossfiring his raft. I am out of the door of the complex and halfway to the corner store when I realize he must have known where I would shop. I pick a direction and walk, enjoying the chill winter that smooths the ragged shreds of me inside. I turn at random intervals, following the immobile pathway to my familiar neighborhood, until I find a small shop with an unfamiliar name. Once inside, I hurriedly fill a small plastic basket, brands that I have never eaten, strange of this thin, authentic ingredients I don't recognize, foods that I've never even thought of buying, soy milk, tofu. I can feel my stomach reborn with anticipation at all the untainted meal. I prepare the meal in a fog of nervous anticipation, trying to focus on savoring the aromas and the grease-spitting sounds of the frying pan. It tastes clean, but then, so as any other meal before this, I try to tell myself that the mounting pain inside me is simple fear and anxiety, but before the stroke of midnight, I am again crouched in my dingy bathroom, surrendering the days of work of porcelain mouth of the sewer. The next day I picked up the remaining food and disposed of it with the same care. I eat out that day, layering debt onto my last credit cards at the restaurants on the opposite side of town. He is more clear than I could ever imagine, and I'm awash to his despair, and I spent another sleepless night gagging and sobbing on the tile floor. I imagine the algorithm, the perfect predictive models at his disposal, brilliantly charting my every move across the city. Every time I thought I outwit him, I was willingly walking into his web. I buy a candy bar from the vending machine in the theater, hold it close to me like a talisman. When I got home, I filled the bathtub with a few inches deep of rust-colored water, and hold the plastic wrap bundle beneath the water and squeeze. I know that I'll see it. It still breaks my heart when I do. A thin, almost invisible stream of bubbles picks out where the forging object was pierced on the protective layer. Through the haze of piercing hunger, I convince myself to try, just one bite, and to take chances. It's a gamble that I do not win. In the small hours of the morning, as I press my fists on the empty, protesting belly, I imagine a legion of his followers, sliding silently through the restaurants and produce aisles of my life, slipping heptomonic needles into carefully selected packages of food. They are quickly ruining and corrupting all of his whim, surgical and efficient, before vanishing into the throng of the city at my approach. They will always be one step ahead of me, until I learn to think in new ways, to chart the conjunctive pathways, and turn the game back upon him, so I can tell myself this is what I must do. The first day of my new life, I spent the small living area in my apartment, organizing my thoughts with the clean, sterile efficiency, with conserving what energy I can from wasting my body. Night brings this retching sickness, but it all rises water, pills, half-digested food, and bilious water. The pills, of course, not for the first time. I feel a sharp twinge of respect and crystalline perfection of his plans. I've dumped the last of my dozen prescriptions down the toilet. On my third day, I felt a clarity and sense of purpose that shocks me to its insanity, and my will penetrates the starvation malice. I must win, or I will die. The rashes and sores in my cheeks are deeper, and I could feel the gentle sway of loose teeth in my dissection mouth when I grind him and fought. He's whining, but not for too long. There still is time, even though he's winning. Water I collected from the roof from the cheap hardware buckets. I know that's somewhere in the Betasane plumbing in the age building, but there must be one of this infinity clever devices. A tiny pump squatting like a predator, pulsing its vile contents into the water main. I'll have to give up bathing. A small sacrifice. The rainwater will keep me alive a little while longer, but I must find a way to eat. The answer comes to me as unconnected puzzle pieces over the next few days. While gently working through another loose molar from my bleeding gums, they suddenly snap together, and a warm, smoothing blanket empathy my coating arcane fame, and the clattering of the tooth, while still sinking to the brain, is like ringing of bells. Late in the evening, I begin to another unconscious drive, drifting through the city and on shaking epileptic legs, knowing full well that he is watching. But this, my beautiful solution, is beyond and even his reach. I even chose the house at the random. Then, in the final attempt to battle the algorithm, turn around and chose another house across a little tree-lined street. I sift through the mail. It was just simple size, but not to confirm necessary facts. A single occupant. The poor man is surprised to have a visitor at all, and his face contorts with fear as I force my way inside. I am flooded with guilt and regret as I push him onto the floor and strike quickly with the crowbar I pull from the folds of my jacket. No, I must steel myself. This is my fault, his fault. He has brought this on us, and this poor man is just another of his victims. I make a quick work of the meat, the muscle memories that summers spent hunting in the mountains firing up with each quick cut. I allow myself a quick bite. A feast to shrunken the withered stomach. The iron and the minerals, salt taste foods, like a head vapor in the brawl of relief. Like a child, I will always have that packaged meat so tight into my rucksack. I light a single candle on top of the floor of the little house and turn on the gas range on high. I am not home when I hear the low rumble in the distance. Pulsing lights of the engines highlight in the black cloud hanging from the sky. For the first time in more than a month, I slept well, my body rapidly healing as pure, untainted nutrients penetrate my cells. I am not well yet, but after a few more meals I will be ready once more to fight him. I know I can beat him now. I know the algorithm can only predict the actions of my past self, bound by the laws and morals of old world. That world is dead. I am a free man. All right, this was definitely a different type of story. I never thought I would, read because I actually kind of heard of this story a few years ago, but I wasn't really into creepypastas at the time. So that was called The Algorithm, written by Josef K. A pretty interesting creepypasta involving someone, trying to ruin this person's life. It actually sounds like a really interesting concept regarding that. So the protagonist of the story is trying to fight who this man is that keeps poisoning his food and all that, doing a lot of weird shit in the house. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it actually does have a pretty interesting concept of what it's going for. I mean, hell, I never really knew this one would be, that perfect. I mean, maybe I'm just going over a little bit, but, like I'm just gonna say, it honestly really was pretty well made. I actually liked the concept. I thought the story was actually quite nice. I mean, I haven't really heard of this story in like a really long time, so yeah. It actually provides a pretty good concept for the story. I remember Mr. Creepypasta actually read this story, and it was actually a well-made story. I definitely gotta say, I really thought it was enjoyable. It's a pretty good pasta. It's definitely well-read and well-made. So, yeah, I mean, I recommend you guys, take a look at this. It's actually quite nice for what it is. So, anyways, with that being said, the grammar of this story is actually pretty good. I'm really surprised that the grammar is really good. I mean, it's a well-made story. It's definitely a pretty good concept. It does have a lot of time and effort into it, and I mean, I really personally thought it was enjoyable. So, with that being the case, that being said, it's definitely a good story. I recommend it. If you guys are, looking for some pastas, I recommend you check out this story. You will not be disappointed. It's a pretty good one. So I definitely really have to say it's pretty good. So I guess with that being the case, that being said, I'm going to sit here and sit this right now that this is just simply my own personal opinion. And I want to say, before I continue, thank you so much to the author for writing this story. Awesome job. It's definitely well made, and I definitely gotta say it's a really interesting story, and it does have a pretty good pasta. So yeah. So I definitely gotta say it's really. Well, sorry about that. That was just a car that was driving by my house. So I do apologize for that. But anyways, yeah, pretty good. It's well made. So Josef K, I want to say thank you so much for writing this story. This is obviously a really good story. Definitely a well made one. It's a pretty good story. I really do enjoy it. I find it to be, a pretty good story, and it's well made. And I really do enjoy this story. So with that being the case and that being said, I'm going to sit here and just say that this is just my own opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that's perfectly fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these creepypastas. This is simply my own personal thoughts, and like I'm going to say, I'm going to give this one a 10 out of 10. I actually thought this was pretty neat, and it's well made, it's enjoyable. It actually has a pretty good concept, so yeah, the author did a pretty good job with this story, so I really gotta say it's pretty damn awesome. So I guess with that being the case, and with that being said, yeah. What did you guys personally think of this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me now what your thoughts are down in the comments below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you're new to my channel, please like, comment, subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications to when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Peace out. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out.